We're holding hands as I say this. A lot of adults struggle with creative works or feeling creative because they were sexualized as children. And while being young, maybe being exposed to certain things that were beyond your age group made you feel like you got through some kind of rites of passage, or you got to do something that the other kids didn't get to do. It exposed you to things that you may not have been, or I'm going to say absolutely were not, emotionally, mentally, or spiritually prepared to hold. When we come in this human experience, we're cradled with society's rules, not with what it means to actually be a human. So those things are actually supposed to be partnered together. You get the rules and then you get told how to apply your emotions to them, if at all, after. Even though we come here feeling first. You don't come here knowing how to count. You get taught how to count. But you understand quantity and you understand those type of things just from the human. Like if you saw a whole bunch of ants coming towards you, you as a child wouldn't know there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2,000 ants. But you would see a swarm of ants crawling towards you, and 2,000 ants look totally different than one ant. One ant might make you be curious as a child. You just might even kill the thing because you might go to point at it and smash it, right? But if you see a whole bunch of ants crawling to you as a child, that one, you're going to question that one and be terrified at the 2,000 because it's too much at one time. And the way that it can affect your brain, you're automatically going to go into fear because even as a baby, you're practicing awareness, and a human is always going to know how to protect themselves. We come here to learn how to live. I think the survival tools are already built within us, but we come here to learn how to live, and it's like bruised at a really early age. And so when you become a person, like for instance, when I was younger, I escaped in all of my art forms. That's why to me it's not strange to see one person do 10,000 things. And it was a way for me to find a way to speak to how I felt inside and to give myself joy without knowing what words to even say. And sometimes adults, like, okay, you'll see where your stumbling blocks are. You'll see where, where you start some projects and don't finish them. Pay attention to what stops you from finishing a project. Pay attention to it. And the reason why I say a lot of adults that struggle with their creative projects have been sexualized is because every creative thing in you comes from your creative space. It comes from your womb space, okay? So this is for men and women. This is not just for women. Because if that's the case, then we would, like if a penis was up here, we would be talking about two different spaces. We're talking about here. And our creator made that relative for both of us, okay? So when this is the space that gets heightened first. When you see something or somebody that you like, or see somebody that you're attracted to, or energetically you might be attracted to somebody, you may not even know why. Trust me, these two brains are working at the same time. This one is thinking of how this one can conquer what it wants to do. But they work together. But when they've been distorted early, and when you haven't been taught what this whole section or this source that you carry means, when you haven't been taught what the life force means, when you haven't been taught how to cultivate the life force energy, when you haven't been taught that monogamy is a choice, when you haven't been taught that knowing yourself before you do anything, whether you want to be monogamous, polyamorous, whoever you want to be, knowing who you are at this core space is the most important thing that you can do, because your sacred self is your sexual self. And when it's exploited early, when it's tainted with early, when it's taken advantage of early, when you give it away early, you may not know exactly what the fuck you're doing. But the people influencing you do. And then sometimes it's this. Let me speak about this because I know this is a quiet subject that doesn't get talked about a lot. Being sexualized as a child could be influential amongst children too. That's how it started with me first. It was not an adult. It wasn't an adult first. It was a child. And a lot of times kids are curious. So you fondle with things. And naturally, I'm going to say this. Kids reach for things that dangle. You got a newborn in your hand. You got some earrings on. They reaching for that hoop. They reaching for this necklace. They reach for things that get their attention. Breasts are a space holder, whether they're big or small. You could be a woman that has children and your breasts are always small, but you breastfeed them. Energetically, these are doors and channels. So to children looking at each other, these are familiar without even knowing what the name of them are. These are already familiar. Something inside of you already knows that you were produced out of these things. Something inside of you already knows that you were produced out of these things. Something inside of you already knows that your mother carries that thing that that little girl has and you came out of it and now you want to touch it. Something in that little girl sees that thing dangling and knows that somehow that thing made me to sit inside of it, or that thing's supposed to do something. It's a lot about the human anatomy and the human mind and energy and spirit, and it's a lot that's been taken away from us. It's a lot that's been left out, and it makes us totally reckless. And when we walk around looking for answers, we have the damnedest time trying to find them, because you need to have conversations like this and you don't know where to find those people. Well, here's one. Here I am. You don't know where to find those people. And it's very difficult because you don't want to feel like you're exposing yourself. But what the fuck are you supposed to do? How stuck do you want to keep feeling? How long do you want to keep putting things in front of what you really need? Oh my God, I had a headache. How long do you want to keep prioritizing stuff in front of what you really need? When is it going to become important enough for you to want to do that self-discovery? When is it going to be important enough for you to not feel the fear and make it keep you sitting back there, but not overexposed, but at least put yourself in a space of wanting to learn what in the actual fuck? I thought about this because I'm sitting here looking at all these things on social media about people being upset, and y'all aren't angry enough about the Epstein files. You know why? Because people are dealing with too much shame on a low level. Rich people ain't the only ones that got these motherfucking problems. Some people have had the grace of not having to be exposed to none of this shit. I think that's amazing for you. But the majority of the world has already been exposed to feeling stuff like this. And these are the things and the conversations that we are not having. When our children are locked in a room with their cousins and their cousins get curious, nobody's thinking about the fact that your family, you're just in a curious state. And whatever fucking happens, happens. And you're doing something that you know mom, dad, aunt, uncle, all the rest of them are going to get upset about. But you do it anyway because curiosity kills. It scratches itself. It scratches itself. It's an itch that scratches itself. Curiosity don't need anybody to agree with it. It does what the fuck it want to do. It's just like love. It's just as rude and ruthless as love. Curiosity is just as rude and ruthless as love. It does whatever it want to do. Oh, what's that? Oh, and if it burns itself, it's on to the next thing. Oh, can't do that unless we want to get burnt again. Do we feel like being burnt today? All right, come on. Let's see how hot this is. Like, it doesn't stop. But once you get exposed to these wolves, once your awareness, once you get attuned to understanding what's in front of you, when you're aware you now have the choice of what wolf you're going to feed. You have the choice. You have the choice of deciding which wolf you're going to feed. All of these wealthy people that we see online now talking about, oh, Epstein, that's Epstein. Do you know how many more people are doing this shit? And don't nobody know their motherfucking name. You know they richer than all these people. Don't nobody know who the fuck they are. Nobody know who they are. Nobody's thinking about them. Nobody's looking for them. But the ones that's on our TV screens and in our cell phones are the ones that we get to be distracted by. Just for you to remember, just for you to see what's going on online with them and be re-triggered about something that happened to you when you were little that you can't speak about because you don't want to feel foolish for either taking it or doing it, not knowing better. Knowing it was wrong, but not knowing better. And knowing is such a hard thing to push through because knowing is something that's like it's in the oh, what's that? It's the body's water. Oh my gosh. Oh, it's gonna come to me in a minute. You know, they say we're 70 to 80% water in our human body. It's not actual water. It's a name for it. It's like the plasma liquid fluid that's like, oh my God, below the flesh. Like, it's gonna come to me in a minute. But the knowing is all locked in that. It's in that water. Because water holds every story. Oh my God, water holds every story. I just wrote something the other day about water. Even your tears hold stories. Because when you cry, even if your tears dry up, crystallization is a affirming process. So even if you don't think that your tears did anything, how many times have you been totally sad and can look at yourself in the mirror and see your old cry stains? That's your soul. That's you looking at your soul bearing something heavy. This is so much and so deep at one time. Oh my God. Okay. So when you have these experiences and if you've had these experiences and you see these things online and you get triggered by them and you're crying, you're upset, you're ready to fight, you immediately go from flight mode to fight mode. Like, you may even change your stance now. Some people that maybe wanted to fight for themselves for so long became so exhausted that they stopped and just became quiet. And so their fight is silence now, because then that's the way that they can quiet the monsters in their head. But some people have stayed quiet about it for so long that now they're ready to fuck some shit up, and they don't care who is involved in that process, because it's important for them to feel free, because that's everybody's birthright. It's important for you to feel free. Even the people who have done the things are looking for freedom. And unfortunately, the only thing that they've repeated is what they've known. That's not making an excuse for them to say that what they did was right. It was absolutely fucking wrong. It's never going to be right. And it's something that once it's done, you literally can't undo it. But this is so deep and interwoven, and it's crazy. This just goes to tell you that at the core of all of these issues, all of us are fucking human. Because you got more money and you got more this and you got more that, you think you're so much better than somebody else. You're not. You may be positioned to do more than them, but you're not better than them. If you peel all of these layers back, who are you underneath of all of that shit? Are you really trying to resolve what went on with you as a child? Or do you feel so much misery beyond about what happened that you feel like you just got to pass that torch and you just going to continue to do the same goofy shit that was done to you? When I was younger, one of my family members introduced me to porn at a young age. I was very surprised when she did this, and became my favorite. Why? Because you gave me something that I know no other adult would. But you gave me something that I wasn't ready for. But because I was also a child that talked to God all of the time, that was turned into something else. Not before I was sexualized more, chased by more demons, and then became one of those kids, right? But it turned it into me wanting to protect myself because I knew I couldn't go to anybody and talk to them about it. It turned to me hearing my friends tell stories about the first time they had sex, and they in their early teens, and I'm horrified by what they're talking about. So it's like I went from one end of the stick to the other. I don't know. Like the first end of my stick felt more tabooish. Theirs felt more agreed upon and silly to do. But it was all on the same genre, of sex and sexual activity. Being exploited two things early was on my taboo. Being exploited two things early was on my taboo side. Exploiting themselves early was on their side. Whatever the reason was that they felt like they needed to do it. I'm just telling you what was in my observance when I was little. I was younger and then grew into a teenager, right? So it made me want to protect myself. Couldn't go to my mom and dad. They wouldn't believe me. Couldn't go to my siblings. They wouldn't give a shit. Household was abusive. It was already too many distractions. So the recipe for all of those things to exist was already floating around in there. Okay? And we broke. But it's people that got stuck, set up like this intentionally. And they're wealthy. And you can't. Sliding into it is so thin that you don't even realize you fall into the shit until you're in it. Once your awareness knocks you in the head and lets you know this is what it is, it's now up to you to decide whether you're going to let this go or whether you're going to turn into this monster. If everything around you is shiny and beautiful and you can get away with it, most of the time people continue to do what they know to do because habit teaches you to not break or not fix what ain't broke, right? Even if it's a bad system, it's one that's working. So what are we touching it for? Do you understand? So in those instances, you'll get wrapped up in wanting to put it down, right? Your guilt may make you tilt a little bit and tell you we shouldn't really be doing this. And then you have influences and people around you on that other side that's tapping your shoulder and throwing the glitter in front of your face, making it seem like it's okay, all of us do it, so you can do it too. Nobody will find out. So then being able to get away with things is a sense of freedom. It's not freedom because in the back of your mind, you already know that eventually you can get caught. So it's a sense of having a form of freedom, but it's not really freedom. And sometimes when people feel that sense of freedom, the only thing that keeps them in it is not feeling alone in that guilt trip. They know that, okay, well, if this person, if I go down, then these other people are going to go down with me. So then if they don't feel lonely in that, then they may not have a problem going 10 steps further, continuing to do some fuck shit that they know they ain't supposed to be doing in the first place. And getting back to the first thing that I was saying, how does this affect your creative space? Because it's missing pieces and something in your creative channels stutter or get hit with, like, it's such a yank, and sometimes it can stun you into silence. Sometimes it can stun you into not wanting to say shit, not even because you don't want to say anything, but because you literally can't find the words. And so in fear of sounding dumb and confusing to people that you don't know are willing to hear you, you don't also want them to be confused by what you're saying, because it's going to feel like it's coming out of nowhere because you held the shit in for 40 something years. And you don't want to run the risk of sounding silly. So you don't sound it off. And you become a siren within yourself, and then you implode and deal with all of these emotions, and they cause diabetes, they cause stress, they cause anxiety, they cause cancer, they cause... Well, I see it in my head. I don't know why I can't make the word out. They cause arthritis, they cause things in your entire body from head to toe to just be off balance. Internal to external, to just be off balance. And when you keep spinning that same wheel instead of hopping on a new one, that wheel makes those internal problems bigger. And instead of looking at it as something that needs more human touch in a way that's not exploiting, that's not over sexualized, but it's just straight love, not knowing how to make that cry come out causes you to internally implode and get sick and die and suffer and tell yourself, oh, I deserve this because of all the things that and tell yourself, oh, I deserve this because of all of the things that I've done. This is the karma. This is the karma for what I've done. So it's okay. I'll just sit here sick. I'll sit here with, these, whatever these diseases are. Here's another level going deeper, not even realizing that sometimes these can actually be the batons passed on to the unfinished business that your ancestors had before you were even born. Some things will skip a lineage, and strategically, because in the spiritual world, what happened with them in the 50s and 40s can only be resolved with the kids that's born in the 2000s and later, because the kids born in the 70s, 80s, and 90s ain't gonna get it the same way these kids over here will, because they know how to be a forerunner, these kids over here. These kids back here are still dealing with the fears that their mom and dad had. These kids in the middle in these 70s and 80s, they may or may not get it, but we got to get some of them. Some of them going to be on the crossroads. Some of them can bridge these gaps, but it ain't going to be a lot of them. So you got to put it together a certain way. You got to master this recipe. This got to be something that's it's tight. You got to get this shit together. All the while, all you're trying to do is paint. All you're trying to do is evolve past the last emotional disruption or distorted relationship that you experienced. You don't know why. None of your relationships work out. Why is everybody always asking me, why am I single? Oh, I'm so handsome. Why am I single? Oh, I'm so pretty. Why am I single? It has nothing to do with how you look on the physical. It has to do with who you are in the spirit realm, in the angelic realm, in the primordial realms, in the spiritual realms. In the realms where lives have repeated themselves and you lived every last one of them and forgot. And now you're the one that's been given this baton to remember. So quit fucking yourself over. And remember, we're here now. You might as fucking well. All of these rich people, or the people you see on the news being exposed for shit that the same shit broke people doing. You think it feels better? At the core of being human, it hurts either way. Nobody's better than anybody else. It hurts. Fucking fix it. So all of this gets exposed and we do what? You talking about people ain't angry enough. No, people are angry enough. That's why they keep doing this shit. They need to actually stop being angry. You talking about people ain't retaliating enough? You talking about people ain't saying something enough? We've already discussed how disheartening it feels for a lot of people to go through these things. No, they're not going to be the first people to just come right out and say it. No, absolutely not. What do you think these people are? Right? But there can be a platform made for it. Just gotta stop being a fucking pussy about it. It's hard. And trust me, the rich people that's doing this or the people that's not exposed doing this, they fucking scared too. Why you think they keep their ring private? I mean, damn, if it was an acceptable thing, don't you think the shit would be out in public with poster boards and all that kind of shit? Don't you think that? Don't you think that? They deal with the same fears. They deal with the same fears. So, how did I even get here? I was talking about why adults get blocked and why people get or feel blocked when they are trying to be creative and can't, and feel stuck and feel bewildered or feel withdrawn or feel a sense of anger or feel a need to fight or feel something that makes them retreat from doing certain things or taking certain actions. Or taking certain actions or just being greater. They suffer within themselves. Those things, that empty space, it was supposed to be, being introduced to your sexual self was supposed to be a completely different experience. It was supposed to be a different experience. It wasn't supposed to be by being taken advantage of or being parts of your body being touched before you even told what they were or things like that. And it affects your natural creativity. You know that you're creative and you know that, but it's such a fight sometimes just to get that one. But it's such a fight sometimes to get those certain things out because they're functioning in a system that hasn't been educated about it. So you got, in other words, it's kind of like you got the outcome of the problem without the details. And usually we like those kind of things. Like if you trust Aunt Mimi's cake and you know her cake is good, you ain't gonna care about the ingredients. And that's all well and good when you know you already getting something that you like from somebody that you trust. But when you get something that you don't like from somebody that you trust, it reads in your system differently, your nervous one. It's actually the thing that lets you know you got a nervous system. So I guess at this point, what I'm saying is understanding the real fight, understanding what people are really fighting against is the key. It ain't always as cut and dry as other people think. People are out here trying to simplify thoughts about things that they haven't even experienced. You be trying to, oh, it's going to be all right. What's going to be all right? What? Because you only know the surface of what's happening with some people. You don't know everything that's happening with everybody, you know. You know the surface. You know what they tell you. You know what they want you to know. And those that really know are those that have already been through it and can smell it and see it and can see through all that bullshit that most people be talking about. Like you can just see it. And what do? Because most of us have gone through these things and been quiet about it for a long time. We continue to be quiet. Well, if you can't recognize right now that it's now our time to be extremely loud, then I don't know what the fuck you've been looking at. And I don't know who you waiting on. It's just time. It's time for us to help ourselves and time for us to help each other for real. If you give a fuck about your lineages, your ancestors, the ways that they've prayed for you, the things that they've done, if you've been feeling, you know, the need to go deeper, if you've been feeling like You need to explore. You got to ask questions. The things that you've been practicing ain't really meeting you at your level of curiosity. Man, I tell y'all all the time, I used to get kicked out of, my uncle is a pastor. I used to get kicked out of his office faithfully. Every Sunday after church, I had 10,000 questions. And his reply was, Jennifer, go find your mother. Why? Because he couldn't answer none of my questions. That didn't mean that he wasn't good at what he did. That just meant that my little brain was looking for more. Because there is more. And that's just it. That's just all there is to it. There's more. I'm grateful, too, that it's like this for many of us. Not the things that we had to go through, but the fact that most of us ain't really lost it. We ain't really as lost. We ain't really as lost. We ain't really as lost. And that's a grace within itself. Once we find each other, we've already found our